The Fishin' Magazine television series is brought to you by Ranger Boats, still building them one at a time so you can fish hard, run strong, and rest easy. Bass Pro Shops, Quantum and Motor Guide, the choice of serious fishermen. L&L Marine Care Products, take the chore out of marine maintenance. Fishing hotspots, mapped so good people ask for them by name. Pinpoint Network Fishing Systems, Daylight Corporation, the Fishing Hole in St. Louis, Missouri, and Central Pro-Am Association, the leader in Pro-Am bass tournaments.
Welcome to the Fishin' Magazine television series. We're at Marina Bay Resort on beautiful Lake of the Ozarks for the second stop on Central Pro-Am Association's 99 qualifying Pro-Am bass tournament circuit. Lake of the Ozarks is nationally known for big stringers of big to largemouth bass. And I think we've got a real big show for you today. We'll be right back right after this.
Legendary reputations don't happen.
Missouri's sprawling Lake of the Ozarks is unique. When it was impounded 70 years ago, Lake of the Ozarks was the largest man-made body of water in the world. Today, it's one of the most heavily developed lakes in America, but it remains one of the country's best bass fishing lakes and a premier stop on the Central Pro-Am Tournament circuit. This year, Lake of the Ozarks is the second event of Central Pro-Am's 10th anniversary season. A full field is on hand, and as usual, a primary topic of conversation is the weather. A violent storm with gale force winds wreaked havoc on the Osage Beach area during practice, and no one can be certain what effect that will have on the fishing. But if nothing else, the Pro-Am anglers are getting used to dramatic weather here. For the past 2 years, the weather during the Lake of the Ozarks Pro-Am has been miserable, but the fishing has been phenomenal. In fact, unprecedented in Central Pro-Am history. For the past 2 years, it's taken over 40 pounds to win, and the 4 heaviest one-day catches in Central Pro-Am history have been recorded in those tournaments. Central Pro-Am's all-time single-day record was set by Jackie Davis with 28.15 pounds on day 1 in 1997, when swirling winds, rain, and hail pelted the area. The second heaviest one-day catch occurred a year later, when Jim Akins brought in 26 pounds on the cold, rainy first day of a blizzard-shortened tournament in 1998. The third highest one-day catch was Kirk Washburn's 25.9 pounds on day 1 in 1997, a mark that broke the existing single-day record and remained the Central Pro-Am standard for about 30 minutes, until Jackie Davis weighed in. Washburn finished third in that tournament, behind Davis and Dave Krisenberry, who, by the way, weighed in the fourth heaviest stringer, 25.15 pounds on day 2 of the same tournament to leapfrog Washburn in the final standings. And just for the record, the 5th heaviest stringer and the highest from any other lake was Allen Head's 25.05 pounds on day 2 of the Grand Lake Pro-Am in 1996. In practice, many of the Pro-Am anglers have been catching big fish, but 1998 tournament winner Jim Akins isn't one of them.
I have probably had as bad a practice as I've had for several tournaments. I've caught a lot of fish, but all the fish are small. My strategy is going to be the same as last year. I'll pitch my jig, and I'm fishing just about the same water as I fished last year. The fish are there. Occasionally I can catch one of them. I'm just hoping for some good weather that'll make them turn on.
Brian Snowden has been fishing the Pro Division for only 2 years, but already he's making his mark. He won the Dardanelle Pro-Am in 1998, and already this year he finished second in an early season Everstart tournament on Lake of the Ozarks.
Fishing's been fairly tough for me, only catching a few good fish, which is only a 3-pounder, and that's not very good for this lake. A few of those a day, and then the rest are just Kentuckies that are keepers. Last year when I was up here and I did real well, it was a cloudy, windy day. We've had those days in practice, and the fishing just hasn't been what it was last year. I still expect to see the mid to high 30s to win this tournament. I would say 36 to 39 pounds would probably win it. You know, someone always figures something out no matter what.
The morning of day 1 is chilly and overcast, but the prospect of catching big Lake of the Ozarks bass has anticipation running high. Defending title holder Jim Akins is out with the second flight and heads to the area near Hurricane Deck Bridge that produced his winning stringer in 1998. Immediately, he starts catching fish by working the rocky bank with a brown jig. But unlike the year before, all the fish he's catching are small. At this rate, the big ones will have to turn on for him to have a chance of retaining his Lake of the Ozarks title. Jackie Davis starts the day with a big spinnerbait, hoping to take advantage of the pattern that produced his 1997 triumph. But today, it's no go. Davis is going to need a more productive pattern if he's to be in position to win his 5th Central Pro-Am title. Brian Snowden normally does well at Lake of the Ozarks, and today he's already off to a fast start, nailing his first keeper while other Pro-Am contestants are still taking off. Unfortunately, his good fortune doesn't continue. As the day progresses, Snowden and amateur partner James Borer are having trouble getting strikes, and when they get them, the bass are all too small to keep. Bruce Geyer won the Lake of the Ozarks Pro-Am in 1992, and he's considered one of the best on the lake. Today, Geyer's sticking to the pattern he established in practice, flipping into the heaviest shallow water cover he can find. But it's not producing results. So far, he has only 3 small keepers, and he'll need more than that to be in the running here. Roger Fitzpatrick has run up the Osage River, where he, like Bruce Geyer, is flipping a tube jig around heavy cover in shallow water. But so far, the pattern is paying off for Fitzpatrick. He already has 1 big fish, and if he can come in with a limit, he'll be in good position to contend for the first day lead. Greg West and amateur partner Billy Joe Boley are Carolina rigging along chunk rock banks in wind-protected coves. West is already well on his way to a limit with 3 keepers, but unfortunately, this one won't help his cause. A short time later, Boley gets a solid strike, and his bass is a keeper, his first of the day. Joe Bidnick and amateur partner Mike Bennett are fishing crankbaits along flat chunk rock banks. They, like many others, are getting strikes, but the fish they're catching are all non-keepers. When the Pro-Am anglers return to Marina Bay for the Day 1 weigh-in, Ron Foss, the amateur division winner at Bull Shoals, comes in with this 5-pounder and 3 other fish to take the lead with 10.5 pounds. But he's soon challenged by Larry Wickersham.
10.90 pounds, new leader in the amateur division, Larry Wickersham from Afton, Oklahoma.
Later in the first flight, Lance Pendergraft arrives with this 6-pounder and 4 other keepers to make his bid for the lead.
Ooh, got a big old kicker fish like that. And got 4 more to go with it. I'd say Larry Wickersham's lead is gone. G-O-N-E. Looky here, 15.65 pounds. That's a new leader right there in the amateur division, Lance Pendergraft.
Paul Loveland has only 1 keeper, but it's magnificent and weighs in at 7.65 pounds to take the amateur division big bass lead. John Bond has only 2 fish, but they're both quality bass that move him into the thick of the amateur division race. In the pro division, Dave Munganast establishes the early standard with 11.95 pounds. Defending title holder Jim Akins has a limit, but it weighs only 10.35 pounds, and he settles into 2nd place. A short time later, John Kramer comes in with a limit to challenge Munganast's lead.
You're the first limit to come across the stage today.
Cool.
Cool, yeah. New leader? Looky here, everybody. This guy's figured them out. 14.10 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your new leader in the pro division, John Kramer.
Next is Tim Sonato, whose catch is anchored by this 7.5-pounder.
15.35 pounds. New leader in the pro division, Tim Sonato.
Sonato's lead doesn't remain unchallenged for long. Troy Aikens soon comes to the scales.
He wants to win a title so he can fish the Titleist Pro-Am coming up in June. How many we got?
We got 5.
Get your cameras ready. They got to weigh 23.40 pounds to take the lead.
I don't know if they'll do that.
You don't think they'll do 23.4? They might. Well, the real lead right now is 15 pounds, so. 20.60 pounds. Get some of those fish out of there. This is what Lake of the Ozarks is all about. Put your hands together, a new leader in the pro division, Troy Aikens.
A few minutes later, Roger Fitzpatrick comes in with this magnificent bass that tips the scales at nearly 7 pounds.
It's the second big bass right now in the pro division, but he's more importantly, he's got a limit. That's a big kicker fish right there. Oh, look here, but there's a little bitty baby in there also. Gonna get on up, 17.65 pounds.
Moments later, Greg Leary comes in with a limit of his own to move into second place with 18.65 pounds. But Dave Crisenberry is right behind Leary.
He has a limit. We've only had, I believe, 5 or 6 limits weighed in this entire tournament. Leading the tournament, Troy Akins, 20.60 pounds. Have you got that?
I don't have that.
You don't have that, he says. What do you think? 20 pounds? Got one little one in there. But here it goes. 19.10 pounds. That's second place right now in the pro division. Dave Crisenberry, put your hands together for him, folks.
At the end of the first day, Troy Akins sits atop the Quantum Pro-Am scoreboard with 20.6 pounds, giving him a 1.5 pound edge over Dave Crisenberry in second place. Completing the rest of the top 5 is a trio of capable Missouri anglers: Greg Leary, Roger Fitzpatrick, and Tim Sonato. In the rest of the top 10, Kansan Bill Dillon holds down 6th place with 15.2 pounds, giving him a cushion of less than a pound over Larry Seeger, John Bullock, and John Kramer. In the amateur division, Lance Pendergraft holds down the top spot with 15.65 pounds, and he holds a commanding 4.5 pound lead over John Bond, with Larry Wickersham, Ron Foss, and Mike Zimmerman in hot pursuit. In the rest of the top 10, barely a pound separates defending title holder Chris Seiler in 6th place from Brad Richmond in 10th. Stay tuned for exciting Day 2 action. We'll be right back. The best donuts around. There are few anglers as capable with a jig as 1998 Lake of the Ozarks winner Jim Akins. And there's always a lot to learn when he explains how he fishes a jig his way.
Everybody looks at it as a simple bait, but a jig is really a real complicated bait because of the way fish bite it. It took me years and years to learn how to tell when a fish was really biting a jig. The rod is something, that's the most important part of it. I fish with a 610 because a 610 really fits me and fits my feel. This particular rod's got a little more tip in it than most heavy action rods, but I want a pretty stiff rod because you can feel a lot better with it. I don't like for line to make any noise in the water, and the bigger line, in my opinion, makes a little noise in the water. I fish with Tournament Series trilene line. It's photochromic, is what it's called. It's a kind of a gold-colored line, and it's supposed to be invisible under the water. Well, I need to be able to see my line because so many of these times the line will just move a little bit, or you just get an idea that the fish is there.
On the morning of Day 2, the weather forecasts have proved right. A cold front moved through during the night, shifting the wind to the northwest and dropping overnight temperatures dramatically, both factors that could affect the fishing. Day 1 leader Troy Akins starts the day along ledges in coves near the Niangua arm of the lake. He's getting plenty of strikes, but so far all the fish are small. In the past 2 years, the patient, determined Akins has emerged as one of the best jig fishermen in mid-America. And Lake of the Ozarks, with its stained water and shallow boat docks, suits his style to a T. Dave Crisenberry started the day in 2nd place, and this morning he's throwing a light jig and working it slowly off the bank in pre-spawn staging areas. On Day 1, Crisenberry's bass averaged nearly 4 pounds apiece, but today the ones he's catching may have the heart of 4-pounders, but that's all. John Kramer started the day in 9th place, 6 pounds behind Troy Akins. Unfortunately, Kramer's day is not going as well as he'd hoped. Like many of the other Pro-Am anglers, he's getting strikes, but the fish he's catching are all non-keepers. But after a cold front, Carolina rigging is one technique that can produce big bass when other methods won't. Lou Treat is proof of that. The 36-year-old Ranger employee started the day far back in the pack, but he's already caught one giant bass on a Carolina rig lizard, and he's on the hunt for another. If he can get one more big fish to hit, a top 10 finish is a distinct possibility. When the anglers return to Marina Bay for the afternoon weigh-in, it's quickly apparent that the race for the amateur division title is wide open because first day leader Lance Pendergraft has come in without a keeper. Jim Kaywood makes his bid to take the lead, but falls a half-pound short of overtaking Pendergraft. Then, just as quickly as the door of opportunity seemed to open, it slammed shut. Because once Larry Wickersham steps to the stage, the battle in the amateur division is, in a word, over.
He has the limit. Here it goes. 4 what must be? 16.50 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, 27.40 pounds. A new leader in the amateur division, Larry Wickersham.
In the pro division, Lad Shannon is in with the first flight and quickly challenges Troy Aiken's lead.
Oh my, looky here. 20.50 pounds. There they are right there, ladies and gentlemen. A new leader in the pro division, 31.70 pounds, Lad Shannon.
Greg Leary was in third place after day one with over 18 pounds, but today he has just one keeper and falls out of contention. A similar fate befalls Dave Krisenberry, who comes in with only 3 keepers and has to settle for a 2-day total of 26.55 pounds. Later in the first flight, first day leader Troy Aikens comes to the scales.
How many we got? He has the limit, $12,500 on the line, leading the tournament right now, 31.70. Get out. 18.35 pounds, 38.95 pounds. A new leader in the pro division, Troy Aikens.
Once Aikens weighs in, the outcome of the tournament is no longer in doubt. But as on day one, anglers in the third flight are prepared to set off some fireworks of their own. The first to do so is Lou Treat.
8.15 pounds. Now that's a beautiful bass right there.
A short time later, Alton Wilhoit brings in another monster bass.
8.15 pounds. It's a tie for big bass.
Finally, Cecil Kingsley, the last angler to weigh in, stuns the crowd with the biggest stringer of the tournament.
Well, you know, I caught a lot of fish yesterday, and I still was practicing today, and I found out the pattern that would work for the big fish, and it had to do with the coldest water you could find. It was being mixed with the strongest wind that you had on the lake, and it had to be a point with pea gravel, but it had to have at least 30 feet, maybe 60. And the big fish are all over those spots waiting to go in.
It's in the record books now. Troy Aikens wins his first Central Pro-Am title with an impressive 2-day total of 38.95 pounds, more than 7 pounds ahead of runner-up Lad Shannon. Cecil Kingsley's second-day charge carries him to third with 27.25 pounds, followed by Dave Krisenberry and Dave Mungenast. In the rest of the top 10, Bill Chester leads the way in 6th place, with Bob Carnett, Tim Sonato, Roger Dial, and Greg Leary close behind. In the amateur division, Larry Wickersham's second-day limit carries him to his first Central Pro-Am victory with 27.4 pounds and an amazing 11-pound edge over runner-up Dave Smrecker. But it's tight from there on, as first-day leader Lance Pendergraft, John Bond, Bob Jorgensen, and Jim Kaywood complete the top 5. In the rest of the top 10, barely a pound separates Ron Foss in 7th place from Mike Zimmerman in 10th. We'll be right back. Techniques you can use to catch more fish. Brought to you by Ranger Boats, where they still build them one at a time.
I knew the fish were coming in, going to try to be coming in to spawn, and the boat docks is a perfect place for them to come in and hang around, you know, and spawn underneath boat docks. And so in practice, what I did Thursday and Friday was just go around looking for boat docks that had some brush around them, or lots of cuts, you know, little shallow cuts that had a lot of boat docks and brush in them. The fish were still on the ledges just a little bit of the mornings. So I'd fish them in the mornings, and then as soon as the sun got up real good in the sky, I'd go to the boat docks and shallower water pattern. For the mornings, I was using the new fluorocarbon Bass Pro line. That's what I was using. It's really tough. On my 12-pound on my ledge bite, that's what I was using. When I was fishing my boat docks, I was fishing with a 17-pound trilene, the photochromic orange line, on a heavier jig, a 3/8 ounce jig. The ledge jig was a 1/4 ounce jig, just a little bit lighter jig, and a lighter line to where I could get it down just a little bit deeper, fishing it all the way to the boat. I wasn't fishing too structured, I was just wanting it to fall off the ledge. The color of the jig is brown. Of course, that's what I mostly all the time fish is a brown jig. And brown with a green pumpkin zoom critter crawl. What I'm using is a brown live rubber. It's kind of getting hard to find because a lot of people all went to the silicone skirts, but the brown live rubber is what I really like. It's just the right color. And I like the way it looks in the water. I think it imitates a crawdad a little bit better. I have fished several tournaments that I've been leading or been in second or third, and the next day go out and not be able to catch any fish. In this tournament, I practiced a little harder and found more fish, more boat docks, more fish to go to, and I saved some the first day. When I put the last 4-pounder in the boat, it was about 2:30, I'd say, I began to feel that I knew I had 17, 18 pounds, and I was shooting for 15 pounds. I had 20 pounds the first day. I thought with 15 pounds, 35 pounds, I should have a good chance. And I felt a lot better about it about then.
You know, Troy Akins has developed into one of the finest Pro Division anglers on Central Pro-Am's tournament trail. He's come close to winning before, and this time at Lake of the Ozarks, he came through. Hey, thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next week on the Fishin' Magazine television series.
The Fishin' Magazine television series has been brought to you by Ranger Boats, still building them one at a time so you can fish hard, run strong, and rest easy. Bass Pro Shops, Quantum and Motor Guide, the choice of serious fishermen. L&L Marine Care products, take the chore out of marine maintenance. Fishing hotspots, maps so good people ask for them by name. Pinpoint Network Fishing Systems.